Hello, my name is Amy Cristo, and this is my Communications Project presentation for Human Services Counseling 508 B01. I am a graduate student at Liberty University, studying Human Services Counseling with a cognate in marriage and family therapy. In my presentation today, I plan on discussing the definition of communication, my overarching career goals, my behavioral blends from the Uniquely You assessment, communication barriers I encounter, resources and strategies that I have learned along the way through both life and this course, as well as an action plan on how to become a better communicator. To introduce myself a bit more, I am Amy, and this is a picture here of my family, my husband Dan and my children Danny and Rebecca. I am 33 years old, an artist and an art instructor. Family is incredibly important to me, and I wanted to share my family. My overarching goal for my career stemmed from my own medical issues with endometriosis and my daughter's Chiari diagnosis. Truth be told, I wanted to create meaning out of the suffering that I endured from both of our diagnoses. I'm the beginning of my journey to become a medical family therapist. I feel that I can show empathy, or as Francis Winkle will describe it, understanding another person and being able to communicate that understanding of their journey and their experience. Communication in our lives is everywhere. As Jon Stewart describes in Bridges Not Walls, a book about interpersonal communication, communication is collaborative, complex, and continuous experience where we create meaning through verbal and nonverbal cues. James Peterson, the author of Why Don't We Listen Better, further helps describe communication as a way of sharing information. Communication, as described by Kenneth France and Kim Weichel in Helping Skills for Human Services Workers, describes that communication is also action. It comes from what we do rather than what we say, like in the instance of nonverbal communication. France and Winkle describe the process of creating a positive relationship as sharing empathy, having warmth for your client, and expressing a sense of genuineness. With these qualities, it creates a bond or an alliance where communication could grow deeper and more collaborative, as Stewart would say. Empathy, according to Elizabeth Greeno, Lauren Tang, and Kevin Wade, is frequently defined as encompassing cognitive or emotional aspects. Empathy plays a very large role in the helper role. Being able to demonstrate empathy also shows a higher level of self-esteem and self-worth, according to Elizabeth Greeno, Laura Tang, and Kevin Wade. I'd like to take some time to describe my behavioral blends and backgrounds and how they tie into my ultimate communication plan. In the semester, we took 2 assessments, one through Uniquely You and one through Queendom. From the Uniquely You assessment, I was ascertained for the What is Expected of Me portion as an S-type personality. This means I am humble and quiet, which is pretty true. I tend to be more reflective than reactive, steady and stable. It means that I like to portray a sense of order in my life. I'm also very insecure. This stems from a variety of experiences in my life, and I tend to worry about my response to things, hence why I'm more reflective than reactive. It also shows that I have a passion for helping others. And obviously this is true because I am pursuing a master's in counseling. These identity traits have also been ascribed to me in my life. From the Uniquely You assessment, this section, This Is Me, shows me as a high CSI personality. People may see me as inspiring yet impressive. I've heard that many times over the last few years that my faith and fortitude through the struggles that I've gone through are inspiring. Sometimes I do not feel that way. I do my best to create warmth in all my communication, from working with art students and giving positive and constructive criticism, to speaking to my children so that they know that I love them. I have a friendly and compliant personality. I avow myself as a type of person who has a great deal of empathy and compassion for those around me. I love to please others, and I take pride in my work. I do my best to be compassionate and empathetic in all my encounters. I feel that these assessments and my behavioral blends was accurate and helped me to realize that these are qualities that a good therapist should have. Next, I want to discuss some communication barriers that I have encountered. When communication barriers happen, understanding does not happen and communication ceases to be collaborative. This is from Stewart, 2012, page 21. When it comes to communication barriers, I know from a personal standpoint that I do not like conflict and I can become defensive. This is a personality trait that is seen in both of my uniquely you assessments, that I am a people pleaser and prefer things steady and stable. Defense arousal, as described by Stewart, can prevent active listening and distort what is being heard. When conflict occurs, I sometimes find myself engaging in the flat brain tango, described by James Peterson as our minds and emotions taking over, creating clashes and disconnections. I foresee that talking about difficult and touchy topics may be hard to do. Being empathetic to somebody's situation and delivering information with sensitivity will help. I'd like to take some more time to discuss some of the resources that I have learned in this class of how to become a more efficient communicator. Truth be told, I was quite excited to learn about these resources because I want to break these communication patterns that I have developed over the years and want to be the best person that I can be. Resources I intend to use are the texts that we have from this class. There was a great deal of material, an immense amount of models, therapies, techniques, and interventions that were taught. For example, when Peterson mentioned TLC, it resonated with me on how to be a better talker and a better listener, as well as that. Stewart describes in his text the concept of mindful listening. While this is a technique that I utilize in my everyday already, it is one that I want to use even more consciously, and I will explain further in my action plan. I am reminded by a quote from St. Anthony of Padua, "Actions speak louder than words. Let your words teach and your actions speak." At this point, I want to talk about my action plan. To resolve these barriers in communication, this is my action plan. I need to stay calm in the heat of the moment, or in an argument. As I feel myself beginning to get defensive, I need to observe calmly. I also need to do my best to communicate clearly what my beliefs, values, and priorities are. This is especially important when the other communicator is on the attack. The way to foster growth in defensive communication is with mindful listening and mindful thinking, as Stewart would describe, where it is important to slow down and concentrate on the whole message that is being said, in terms of how to respond. Utilizing stomach talk, described by Peterson, is where I put into words what I am feeling. I am to utilize heart talk, again described by Peterson, by allowing myself to share my thoughts, but also leaving an openness for the other communicator to share their thoughts as well. The final part is to own my feelings on the situation, described by Peterson, and the speaker. There is often a lot that someone has to say, and while my own preconceived notions and experiences may come into play and be helpful, sometimes people just want to be heard and acknowledged. According to a study by Keith Cooperman, Savitsky, Koschel, Batt, and Cooperman in 2017, the pewter model is also a helpful way that can be used to deliver bad news. Like I was saying earlier, sometimes it's difficult for me to communicate when tensions are running high or in the heat of the moment. Realistically, within the counseling career, there will be times where you need to deliver bad news or talk about something difficult or unpleasant. Rather than shy away from difficult conversations, it's important to use the pewter model, which stands for preparing, evaluating, warning, telling, emotional response, and regrouping. By utilizing the pewter model, clients can feel heard and create better roots of understanding, receiving information, and be more sensitive and more empathetic in the situation at hand. Here are my concluding remarks. When it comes to communication, as Stewart would say, it'll be ever-evolving, ever-changing, complex, and collaborative. There will be challenges when it comes to communicating. Sometimes it'll be challenges on my end, such as a personality trait, feeling intimidated, or feeling nervous. Sometimes the challenge will be coming from my clients, or maybe a combination of both of us. With a variety of new techniques, interventions, theories underneath my belt, I feel as though this class has taught me to be a better listener, talker, and a better communicator overall. In conclusion, I'd like to end with a quote from Bob Ross, the famous TV artist that was on PBS in the late 80s, early 90s. He's the guy with the big afro. Everyone is going to see things differently, and that's the way it should be. Everyone comes with a background, a story, and a past. It is our duties as counselors and Christians to listen with mindfulness and an open heart, to react with kindness, love, and compassion. Bob Ross sought to embrace everyone's differences, and as a counselor, I hope to do the same as well. I hope to go on journeys with my clients and help them become the best versions of themselves. I thank you for your time today for listening to this presentation, and as Bob Ross would say, happy painting and God bless my friends. On the last slide, you will find my references for the presentation. I have enjoyed this class very much. I have learned a lot, and I'm very excited as I continue on with my academics at Liberty University. Thank you.